Okay, let's get started. So, welcome to Tenopi live sharing for this evening, 17th of November. Thank you for joining me here today. Just to go through some classroom etiquette, okay, some classroom rules. Please feel free to input any questions or comments in the chat box. My main place of communicating with you is via the chat box. Hi, Five. Hi, Wayne. All right, please do not submit repetitive or irrelevant messages in the chat box as I'm using it to communicate with all of you at the same time. Do not raise your, I apologize. Do raise your hand when prompted or seeking to answer questions, okay? Raise your hand and that'll allow me to bring you up. Please be polite to me, your teacher, as well as your classmates who are here. We're all here to learn together. If you have any technical trouble, please exit and rejoin the session. Okay, again, if you have any technical trouble, please exit and rejoin the session. This should reset the session settings and you should be good to go. All right. Hi, Wayne. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit more about Tenopi online programs. If this is your first time here with me, my name is Teacher Chashna. I just dropped my name in the chat box for you. All right, it's Teacher Chashna, and I'm going to tell you what Tenopi is all about. At Tenopi, we teach English, math, and science. We conduct full live online classes that take place between 1 to 1.5 hours. We also do homework marking and we give you personalized feedback. So don't think that just because you're joining an online class and it's going to be with a few other friends in the class that you won't get individual attention. You will. Okay. You're also welcome to ask questions online even after class. I usually stay behind to answer questions. We also conduct one-to-one online sessions with you, or rather as in you get to have it with me, your teacher. Okay. This is to give you consultation time, where you can clarify all your doubts, ask questions, and run through any questions that you have. Okay. Oh, Wayne said last week's question was really tricky. I'll go through it in a moment, okay? So what is the point of the Tenopi live sharing sessions? Okay, what is this for? In this series, this particular series, we've got different series that we do, we're going to tackle the comprehension cloze passage and open-ended questions in comprehension passages. Okay, across the 6 sessions, we will simplify the skills required to ace these tricky questions. So last week, we looked at what are contextual clues. Today, we're going to look at how do we determine what clues are relevant or useful or necessary. And then next week, we will look at how can we use the clues to arrive at the most accurate and precise answer. Then we will move into open-ended comprehension, where we will talk about inference, how to plan your answer so that you are answering the question, and how to paraphrase so that you are using your own words. So last week's question, Wayne said, oh no, Teacher Tash, it was really tricky. The question was, the heat wave this year has been unbearably intense. I worry that it might lead to bushfires again, Sylvia lamented. I know, the heat wave is certainly a harbinger of more damage, Mark said. My question to you is, okay, what type of contextual clue is this? This is a recap from last week. What type of contextual clue is this? Is it number 1, definition, or 2, restatement? Tell me in the chat box. Henry says it's 2, Yingli says it's 1. Wayne says 2, Fai says 1, Hongtia says 2. Oh, we seem to be having a tie here. Some 1s and some 2s. Okay, we'll discuss this in just a moment, okay? Now, based on the above, what do you think the underlined word means? Does it mean A, a consequence of past actions? B, the cause or reason for a problem? Or C, something that signals the approach of another? Fai says B, Henry says C. Hongtie says B. Rosanna, do you have an idea? Jaden, do you have an idea? Ian's like, is it C, Teacher Chash? Okay, so let's look at the answers now. It is a restatement synonym clue for those of you who said number 2. You're right. Why? Let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look. The heat wave this year has been unbearably intense. I worry that it might lead to bushfires again. So Sylvia is talking about, let me just put this over here. We're talking about the heat wave, right? And we're talking about how unbearably bad and strong and intense it's been. Now we're worried that this heat wave might lead to bushfires. Okay, and then Mark says, I know the heat wave is certainly a harbinger of more damage. So again, same thing, heat wave, and this word links to more damage. So what is a harbinger? A harbinger is something that signals the approach of another. It's exactly the same as what Sylvia is saying. The heat wave this year has been unbearably intense. I worry that it might lead to bushfires again. So Mark restates this. He's restating Sylvia's statement in his own words and saying, I know the heat wave is certainly a harbinger of more damage. So the clue here that you had to pay attention to, the clue here is might lead to. This was your keyword clue that would tell you, aha, harbinger is something that signals the approach of another. Okay, so for those of you who attempted it in the Telegram chat, thank you so much for participating. The Telegram group chat is for you to try out answering questions, and I can actually guide you along to correct your understanding if you're not getting it right, okay? All right, and Wayne, thank you so much for participating in the Telegram group chat. Okay, so today, what are we going to do? Lesson 2, we're going to deepen our search. What clues can help us in the comprehension cloze passage? By the end of this session, I want you to further your use of contextual clues to have an understanding of the passage. What kind of words should you use based on what the story is all about? And I want you to learn how to determine appropriate choices to fill in the blank. How do you use the right word, the most accurate word, to fill in the blank? So let's do a quick recap. What is context? Context refers to information that helps readers accurately interpret the meaning of a text. Accurately interpret the meaning of a text. So contexts are clues. Contexts are clues. Context can take many forms. So the context of the clues in the context can show up in many different ways. They can show up as background information or details about circumstances, environment, time frame. It can also give you clue like feeling and mood or location. Okay? So let's try this example now. Amy was terrified of the stray dog. She backed away, blank. And then I forgot to put a full stop here. So let me put that there. That's a full stop there. Can you tell me in the chat box, what do you think, what kind of word will actually be appropriate for this blank? Give me a word to fit in this blank that is appropriate. Thank you, Wayne So, and thank you, Wayne Leong. Anyone else? Very good, Yingli. Anyone else? Good, Henry. Ihan, Rosanna, Isun, Faliha, Faiz. Good, very nice, Adam. I like your word choice. So we've got really great examples here. Let me just jot them down for you, okay? We have fearfully. We've got slowly. We have nervously. We also have quickly. Okay, now there've been some other words that just came in, which I wouldn't find to be very appropriate. I'm going to write it over here in another color, okay? We have immediately, we have Suspiciously. There was one more. There was one more. Scared. Okay, let's discuss these answers. Okay, so I think that these words are great. Fearfully, slowly, nervously, quickly. Why? Because we know Amy was terrified. She was scared. Amy was terrified of the stray dog, so she would move away fearfully. She would move away slowly. She would move away nervously. She could also move away really quickly because she's scared, right? All of these words are great. But what about immediately? She backed away immediately. Now, if you saw something that you were scared of, you might back away quickly. I want you to describe over here movement, okay? Immediately is about doing it right now, but it doesn't tell me with how much of speed or with what kind of emotion. So immediately does not give me a good enough idea, okay? So I would say no to immediately. What about suspiciously? Why would she be suspicious? Is the dog trying to steal something? No, she's scared. It's got nothing to do with suspicion. And the reason why scared is not appropriate is because of the type of word you need to fill in over here. She backed away scared? No, she needs to back away in a particular manner. So the word for scared, the appropriate word for scared would be fearfully. Rosanna suggested terrifiedly. There's no such word, but I got your point. Ihan had a good one. I really like this, Ihan. We've got silently. Okay, let me change the color for that so that we are on the same page. Silently, absolutely. You don't want to make a sound. You don't want to attract attention. I would also, oh, Phi is really good. Anxiously, she backed away anxiously. Very nice. And then you can also use the word, I really like this, Ihan, trembling. She backed away trembling. Good, very good. So these are absolutely words that I would accept. All right, I would not accept immediately. I would not expect suspiciously. I would not accept scared. Amy was terrified of the stray dog. She backed away. This was my word for all of you, cautiously. She was taking caution. She didn't want to attract any attention. Cautious means it was quiet. Cautious has multiple meanings to it. Cautious can be quiet. Cautious can be slow. Cautious can also show that you're a little bit scared. Okay? All about context. The context over here is the word terrified. If you don't have the word terrified, then you wouldn't know what kind of word to fit in over here. All right, moving on. Last week, we looked at two types of contextual clues, definition and explanation clues, where a word is either explained, where a word or phrase is explained immediately after its use. We also looked at restatement and synonym clues, where sometimes a hard word or a phrase is said or re-expressed in a simpler way. We're going to look at contextual clue type 3. Remember, there are 5 types. I'm going to cover 2 more today and 1 more next week, and then we're going to do a skill next week, okay? This is contrast and antonym clues. Contrast and antonym clues. Oops. Sometimes a word or phrase is clarified by the presentation of the opposite meaning that is somewhere close to its use. So in the same story, the blank might be an opposite of what's actually going on. In this case, similar to restatement and synonym clues, look for signal words to derive the meaning of the correct word choice. Derive means to decide, choose, make an inference, okay? Look at the contextual clues to help you. Let's use this example. Who wants to read this for me? Can you raise your hand? Raise your hand. You can read this example for me. You won't have to answer the question. All right, come on up, Elise.
Being verbose and exaggerating your thoughts will not do you well. Speaking less and being straightforward reflects a mentorship in how you communicate. Jerima's mother advised.
Thank you, Elise. Very well read. Okay, so being verbose and exaggerating your thoughts will not do you well. Speaking less and being straightforward reflects a maturity in how you communicate. Okay, now it's an opposite meaning here. Jeremiah's mother is telling him to speak in a different way. Instead of verbose, speak less and be straightforward. Let's look at, what do you think the underlying verbose means? Is it to share or exchange ideas, using more words than are needed, to utter inarticulately? So let's look back here. Being verbose and exaggerating your thoughts will not do you well. Speaking less and being straightforward reflects a maturity in how you communicate. Do you think it is A, B, or C? Thank you, Wainzo. Anyone else wants to respond? Good, Henry. Good, Faleha. Very good, Adam. Good job, Ingli. Good job, Faiz. Good, Win Leong. Ihan, the word is verbose. Verbose. Let's take a look. See? Absolutely, it is number B, using more words than are needed. What is she saying again? Being verbose and exaggerating your thoughts will not do you well. Speaking less and being straightforward reflects a maturity in how you communicate. So she's saying, by using more words than are needed, you will not do well. Speak less and be straight to the point. Okay? Now that we have identified the context and meaning, what are some other acceptable words that are synonymous to verbose? What are some other words that you can use instead of verbose, since you know now that verbose means using more words than you need to? Very good, Falia. Exactly. Talkative. Any other words? Beating about the bush. Loquacious. Very nice word, Wayne Leong. Loquacious. Wordy. Sure. Chatty. Absolutely. These are all great alternatives. Okay? These are great alternatives that you can use in place of the word verbose. Let's move on. The fourth type of clue. Now, this is important. Listen up. This one's the one that you're always going to be tested on. Inference and general context clues. Sometimes a word or phrase is not immediately clarified in the same sentence. The story will give you relationships. They're not directly clear. You need to infer or make an implication. The reader must then look for clues within, before, and after the sentence in which the word is used. This is the one that will always be tested when you are doing your comprehension cloze. You need to infer. So let's look at this question. Who wants to read this to me? Raise your hand. Thank you, Audrey.
After feeding her dog, Baxter, crunchy food for years, when Lucy put red food in his dish, Baxter would not touch it. Baxter clearly crunchy food.
Yeah, blank crunchy food. Thank you, Audrey. Very well read as well. So, what kind of word would you fit in here? You need to look for clues in the sentence. So let's look. Which specific contextual clues will help us guess Baxter's feelings towards crunchy food? You can choose more than one answer. So what is useful in this sentence? Is it useful to know that Baxter would not touch? Look, the question I'm asking here is feelings towards crunchy food. So which one is useful here to know? Baxter would not touch. After feeding her dog, put wet food in his dish, crunchy food for years. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which ones are useful information? Let's see. Paleha says 1 and 4. Okay, so we have 1 and 4. Who else? Ingli says 3 and 4. Let's see, 3 and 4. Wayne Leong says 1 and 3. Okay. Jaden says 3. We've got lots of options for 3. Faiz says 1, 3, and 4. Eason says 1. Okay, got it. So let's look at the voting. Okay, we just had a little mini voting there. We had 4 here, about 4 here. We had 3 here. Oh, we've got more coming in. Let's quickly do a vote. Rosanna says 4 and 1, Teacher Chash. Okay, 4 and 1. Henry says 1 and 3. Audrey says 1, 3, 4. Elise says 1 and 4. Adam says 1. Okay, let's pause it there. You've got all of this. Let's take a look. Aha, it's 1 and 4. Because, let's look at the question again. After feeding her dog, it's not a useful part of the contextual clue. Baxter crunchy food for years. Aha, she's been giving him crunchy food for years. Crunchy food for years. When Lucy put wet food in his dish, Baxter would not touch it. Baxter clearly blank crunchy food. So there were only 2 useful clues here. All right, there were only 2 useful clues here, 1 and 2. Highlighting extra unnecessary information in your cloze passage can distract you. You don't want to do that. So it's very important when hunting, right? When looking closer and looking deeper for contextual clues, you're finding the most specific ones. My question just now was, what are the most specific contextual clues? So now that we know what our contextual clues are, Baxter clearly blank crunchy food. Did he prefer it, attest it, or condone it? Very good, Henry. Very good, Jaden. Very good, Rosanna. Thank you, Audrey. Absolutely, it is indeed number A. Oh, sorry, letter A. Not prefer. Condone mean you say, yeah, I don't like it, but okay, I will eat it. He doesn't condone it. He really likes crunchy food. Attest means to prove. Okay, so prefer is to like. Attest means to prove. Condone is to unwillingly accept. You clearly know that Baxter likes crunchy food, right? After feeding her dog Baxter crunchy food for years, when Lucy put wet food in his dish, Baxter would not touch it. He didn't like wet food. He liked crunchy food, so it's prefer. Ihan, look at the question again. Baxter would not touch the food because it was wet. He only ate crunchy food, and that's all he wanted to eat. Imagine if every day for breakfast, I gave you different style of eggs. One day I gave you an omelette, one day I gave you scrambled, one day I gave you hard-boiled, one day I gave you soft-boiled, and then suddenly one day I decide to give you Cocoa Crunch for breakfast. But I've been giving you eggs for breakfast for the last 10 years. Doesn't really make quite sense, make much sense, right? Your body's so used to having eggs, why would you suddenly have Cocoa Crunch? Okay, so now that we have identified the context and the meaning, what are some other acceptable words that you can fill in? Quickly tell me in the chat box before we wrap up the session for today. So I'm going to write some words over here. Let's use a different color. I'm going to use purple. Okay, we've got loves. Okay, likes, adores, wants. Good. Any others? Now remember, you need to use the correct tense. And I've got different tenses going on over here, which is a problem. Okay, it is indeed a problem. You need to, you need to make sure you're using the right tense. This is used to. Okay, or would not. It's in the past. So you need to make sure that the words you're giving me are also in the past tense. So we've got loved. We've got loved, liked, adored, and wanted. So when you're filling in the blanks or closed passage, make sure you're using the past tense. Okay? All right, so that's it for session today. I have another challenge for you, okay? You ready for it? With the storm raging outside and the rain pouring down, Benny looked out of the window gloomily. He then dropped his kite and began sobbing. He was looking blank to flying his kite all week. This is your turn. Don't answer me now. Answer me in the Telegram group chat. This is the question. Which specific contextual clues will help us guess Benny's feelings about flying his kite? Is it A, storm raging outside, B, began sobbing, C, Benny gloomily, D, all week? There's more than one answer, okay? Don't tell me here, tell me in the Telegram chat. And then I want you to tell me, based on the above, what is an appropriate word for the blank? I'm not giving you multiple choice now. You need to give me a word that fits. Okay, I will be reposting this question in the Telegram group chat. If you want to take on this challenge, test your knowledge, scan this QR code now. Okay, it is for Telegram. Scan this QR code now to join our Telegram group. Okay, Ihan, please stop flooding the chat box. All right, please respond to this in the Telegram group chat. Thank you. I'm going to pause here for 1 more minute. Or no, not even a minute. 10 seconds. Okay, so scan the QR code to join the Telegram group chat. Now, I just want to let you know about upcoming workshops. Specifically for English, we've got the bridging workshops from P2 to P3, P5 to P6, as well as the grammar workshops for beginner and intermediate. Okay, these are really helpful. If you feel like you need some help and guidance with grammar, please, 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 please join us. We will make sure you're ready for your next year of school. We also have mathematics and science holiday workshops where we're doing bridging courses. Okay, P5 to P6, P6 to Sec 1, P3 and P4. And then over here from P3 to P4, P4 to P5, and P5 to P6. If you want to join us for a full session, a trial class, and this is your first time coming to Tenopi, scan this QR code to find out more about how you can join a trial session. Okay, it's completely free. It's 45 minutes and you'll get to learn a little bit about how we teach you in a fuller class. Today was just 20 minutes. Okay, it was too short. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any further questions, please contact us at this number or this email address. I will drop the number in the chat box in a moment. Otherwise, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Tenopi live sharing session. I'm going to drop the number in the chat box right now. So here you go, everyone. If you want to join the Telegram group chat, this is the QR code. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a great evening and happy holidays. See you next week. Bye, Ihan. Faliha. It's a secret. You're most welcome, Adam. Bye, Faiz. You're most welcome, Faliha. You're welcome, Faiz. Wayne, To, and Audrey, thank you for joining me and being very participative. I really appreciate that. If you have no questions, see you next week. Bye. Yes, Wayne, it's the same Telegram group chat. So if you've already scanned it the first time, it's the same group.